Bill, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Oh,
Great
I'm happy
to be here.
to have you here. Happy to have you here.
Great.
I wanted to start off because you're from originally from where I grew up in the Philadelphia area, and I usually ask people for a hidden gem in Florida. I'd love to hear a hidden gem from Philly and from Florida that you could think of, or maybe something from your childhood in Philly that was always a spot you went that might not even be there anymore.
Yeah, it's still there. Again, from Philadelphia, where I'm from, some of my best friends are still there, and just outside Philly is the Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
And that's, cheesesteaks and hoagies from the White House, but the Jersey Shore, Ventnor, Margate, that's where I grew up. That's my gem up there. Of course, some of the old restaurants are no longer around. I remember growing up, the Bookbinders and, Horn and Hart. It's just great old time places. And down here in South Florida, it's just amazing how many great restaurants. I'm a foodie.
Yeah.
My fiance and I, that's kind of like, what we do. We travel and eat. And here in South Florida, there's, from Miami to Palm Beach, there's a million different restaurants. My staple, my go-to restaurant, though, is the Capitol Grill right here on the Sunrise Boulevard by the Galleria.
Oh, get out.
They're great partners of ours.
I love the Kona rub steak there.
Chef Mark, who is the executive chef there, been there for, since its inception, I believe, is just a great partner in the community. We do a lot of charity events together. So, and the foods, I've never had a bad meal there. So I know that when I'm taking someone to dinner, whether it be a special birthday for my kids or taking someone in that's out of town, that's our go-to place. We just love it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's just a great restaurant, quality food, and the people are great.
Yeah.
And they do give back to our community too. So that's what I'm looking for. When I'm doing whether I'm doing events or telling people where to go, I'm looking like, hey, who's involved in the community?
Well, I think it's a good point because I've always made sure I've shopped and tried to go to restaurants that are locally owned. But there's a lot of the national brands and chains like a Capitol Grill that still are participating locally in the community. And I think you don't have to just stay away from the national brands to think that they don't actually give back. That's a good example.
It's true, and the Capitol Grill is they are partners. The chef and the manager are owners. So a lot of people don't know
I didn't know
that.
how the model went. Okay, that's awesome.
They're managing partners.
Oh, very cool.
So it's like they really care. When you go in there, that's why you get treated so good, because it's run like a mom and pop restaurant.
Oh, that's awesome. I did not know. And actually, Capitol Grill is one of my favorite steakhouses to go to. And it is because of that Kona rub steak. I don't know how they put coffee on a steak and somehow it tastes peppery. I like that right off the bat. It's funny you say Philly, Jersey Shore too. I worry when I tell people Jersey Shore, they automatically think the TV show now.
Right.
So I'm like, no, South Jersey Shore,
right.
Different deal.
Totally.
No offense to anybody in Jersey Shore, the North Jersey Shore, but it's a different deal.
It really is.
Different deal. So you've been down here for 35 years.
No, 40 actually.
40. Business 35.
Business in 35 years.
Wow. Okay, so you're a Floridian at this point.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Was it something that brought you down here? Was it weather? Was it just a business? Was it a girl? What was it?
Yeah, right around the corner from here, I actually was on Oakland Park Blvd. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. The lights come on, and I see a beautiful girl who became my wife.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was a great thing. And then he's just, so we moved up to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I became a blackjack dealer, and then got serious and moved back to Florida. So 1979, I'm back here in Florida with her. She's from Miami Beach. She's my ex-wife, but good girl. I got 2 great kids from her. So that's what really brought me here, though.
Nice. And it is usually always something. It's usually weather or the girls or some type of business opportunity.
And there were a lot of girls back then, as I'm sure there still are.
So you've been 35 years in business.
Yeah.
One of the things I saw that you have a motto regarding concierge service.
Absolutely.
And I'm curious what that meant to you, because obviously to have a business that's been around for 35 years says something. You've went through a lot of ups and downs. I'm sure you've had growth plans that didn't work out, and obviously growth plans that clearly did, because you're rocking and rolling now. But talk to me about that model of concierge service.
We learned long ago, never judge a book by its cover. Okay. We have a showroom where people come in, and sometimes the most prestigious and wealthiest people come in and they don't look like it. They may not be driving a Rolls Royce, they may not be wearing a suit, but believe me, there are some people that don't want to be, stand out in the crowd. Yeah. And so we've always taken the idea that everybody that walks through our door, you treat them like gold, as if they are the the king of the city.
Yep.
And people respect that. They feel really good. And we always ask everyone, when you walk in our showroom, just make yourself at home. Pretend this is your home, and just, people will walk around and they'll laugh. They'll go, wow, I've only been here for 20 minutes, and then 5 people have come up to me and asked me, can I have something to drink, or would you like something to drink? We really treat them. We offer everybody, we want them to have a great experience. Whether they use us or not, it's important that they walk out the door feeling like, hey, maybe this company's not for me, but boy, they sure treated me good, and they're going to talk about it. And we find that people come back after not using us. They'll come back sometimes years later and say, we came in here, but we remember the experience we had. And we hear about you, we know about your reputation, and they come back and become customers.
So talk to me about that, because like Warren Buffett talks about, the one thing a business owner should constantly think about is how to delight clients or delight customers. And I was reading an article from Jack Ma from Alibaba, who was a teacher before he started. He said he wasn't good at math, not good at finance, not good at technology. But what he was really good at is understanding and constantly thinking about what people wanted, what his customers wanted, what people on his team wanted. So how have you, and how do you keep that that client experience forefront, especially as the business ages and you kind of get in the rhythm of stuff? As an owner, sometimes it's hard to keep that thought process of the customer and that experience consistent, especially when you're doing well, and it's you got good things going, you can get complacent.
It's real easy to rock and roll and say things are good, but we never forget where we came from. We started as a small company. We still consider ourselves as a small company, and we want people to know that we truly do care about them. And the most important thing to us is the experience that they have, whether it be a $10,000 remodel project or a $110,000 project. We're going to treat that customer the same way and make sure that they have a great experience. Because all we have in the service industry especially, or any restaurant, whether it be a doctor, is ourselves. We're selling ourselves. And if you don't give a great experience to people, they're going to go elsewhere. And it starts with the phone call. And the girl that sits at our front desk. From the moment you walk into a showroom, you have about 30 seconds to impress the people. They pretty much will decide right then and there that this is the company for me, I like the experience, or they're going to say, wow, what jerks these are. So our girl at the front desk, her name is Robin, and we say that she is the director of first impressions.
Yeah.
And she's great at what she does, at greeting the people from the moment they walk in to the minute that they leave the showroom. We're making sure that they had a good experience. And so it's all about really the experience you have. And in our industry, the remodeling industry, it's a very tough business. People are demanding. They want a lot. They're paying good money. They should get what they pay for. And we try to go above and beyond and exceed their expectations.
So how do you keep the consistency when you got scale, right? So all of a sudden you have, it was easy when you knew every customer coming through. Sure. You talked through them. You kind of sold through it. Next thing you know, you have salespeople probably on the floor. You have different people that are up front. It might be Robin. It might be somebody else. And that consistency of experience as you build the business more is a hard thing to be able to keep.
It is.
What's some of the pieces you do? Is it a matter that you just have it kind of scripted out? Is it a matter that you have just systems that you kind of review? Is it a weekly meeting you're doing to make sure that everybody kind of staying tight? What's kind of the secret sauce behind that consistent service?
The people are the hardest thing that we have to manage.
Yep.
And is to get everyone to think the way that we think.
Yep.
And I'd say the experience that they come in, we're constantly meeting. We meet every Wednesday morning with our entire staff.
Yep.
There's 2 teams we have. One is the outdoor people,
Yep.
the installers and the construction workers, and the other is the sales team and the project managers. And we're constantly coaching them and telling them, you can't forget, yet everybody has to be treated really, really good. And you have to constantly remind it, because it's real easy to go, wow, I'm busy, I can't help that customer, and give them the time that they deserve, even though they may not be buying from us.
Yep.
You still have to give them the time that they deserve, because they took the time to come into our showroom.
Yep.
We owe it to them to make sure we answer all their questions and give them a good experience. So it's constant coaching to our team and making them realize that you have to give a great experience. And sometimes it doesn't always happen, and people will write a bad review for us, and we try to get back to them right away and let them know, listen, that representative is not my brother or myself. We worked 35 years to build our business.
Yep.
Please don't rate us on what one of my employees might have done.
Yep.
We truly care. We want you to. And unfortunately, in our society today, people are quick to do that.
Yep.
They don't realize the harm that when they do write a review, You may not have had a great experience, but it could have been the server that day that gave you the bad experience, but it's the owner that put his hard-earned money and sweat into starting that business. And you could put a company out of business by writing bad reviews, and that's what we face every day. So we are, it's at the forefront of our mind, knowing that every customer that comes in the door has to have a great experience.
On the flip side, I'm just curious from your perspective, has the reviews process, and I've talked to people at restaurants, and I own a couple restaurants up in Philadelphia too, so I get the importance about the review side. Has the review process, do you believe that it's increased your desire to make sure service is more consistent and better, or do you think it's more of a hindrance? Because I feel like right now you can't even screw up once because they could find out about it right away.
Absolutely.
Your A game has to be there all the time, where maybe it didn't have to be there 10 years ago.
When people call us, we get a lot of calls, probably 2-3 times a week, that people have had a bad experience with another contractor, want us to take it over, and like, we don't want to do that. We tell people, you try to work it out with the customer. And honestly, if someone threatens me to write a bad review, I'm going to jump.
Yeah.
I cannot afford to have a bad review. So it does cause us to be very aware of what can happen. So we are better at our game because we know those reviews can be written. So, it makes us be a better company. And we truly are. And we want every customer to give us a 5-star rating. And that's not realistic because there's no perfection. We're very fortunate. We have a lot of great reviews. When you go online and you Google us, or you go Angie's List and Yelp and Home Advisor and Houzz, there are so many opportunities for people to write about you, good or bad. So we realize that you have to have a great experience. We're fortunate to have a lot of great people that work for me. Long-term employees. I have people who built me for 35 years since the day I'm open, who are not my brother. And it's myself and my 3 brothers who run the company. We've been working together since we're in business. But we also have employees that are 10, 15, 20, and like I said, some that are there since the day we're open for 35 years. So we all have that mindset that this is truly our livelihood. And we can't mess up. It's too important.
Well, I want to spend some time in a little bit talking about how you've retained employees for so long and been able to keep them, because that's not an easy thing to do, but it also helps on the customer experience being consistent. But take us back 35 years. So 35 years, you decided to move down to Florida and start a business with your brothers. How'd you decide to make that jump into entrepreneurship? Because Florida was just starting to boom a little bit at that point. I mean, it was still probably early before people started coming down here. So what made you start?
So when I first moved down, I was working for a company, and one by one, each of my brothers moved from Philadelphia down to South Florida. Eventually, we all were working for the same company throughout the early 80s. And in 1984, I went to this person who was the owner of the company, happened to be my cousin. And I said to him, we really want you to treat us better, not just because we are your cousin, relative, is because we're doing a great job for your company, and we deserve to be treated better. And we're 4 top salesmen for the company. And he said to me, Bill, he says, I got to tell you, he said, business is business and family is family, and it is what it is. And they're the words that always stuck in my head. And from that day forward, I immediately said, I'm going to go out and do this myself. And this was 1984. I went out probably the next week, formed a corporation, Allied, and my brothers we all agreed to come with me. My brother Joe's my partner, and we took about 3 salespeople with us. So our first year in business, we just killed it.
How was the family dinners with the cousin after that?
It took a few years to get back and forth, and he wound up closing his business, came to work for us, has since gone to work for another company. But we have a great relationship, and it's
interesting. I was talking to somebody else on the show, and one of the things we talked about was there's this, as much as you could have a desire to be an entrepreneur and want to run your own business, sometimes that push you need on a negative side to be like, all right, you know what, where I'm at isn't as good as I'm thinking it is, or I'm not as wanted as much, or, they said something to just kind of, kind of put a little pebble in your shoe that got you interested to go. And it's interesting because those words, because you're in business with your family, so I'm curious, do you feel the same way that business is family and family?
No, I mean, we treat everybody like family.
Yeah,
And, you
yeah.
know, when an employee comes to me and they want me to listen to them or do something special, I know how important it is to keep, retain an employee.
Yep.
So we have to listen carefully and be aware, because the last thing we want is for them to leave us, especially if they're a good, productive employee, loyal especially. We don't want, it costs too much money to get a new employee, especially in today's economy.
Exactly right.
And then wind up training them and onboarding them. So, you know, when an employee comes to us, we take care of them, and we truly, we go above and beyond to treat our people really good, because they spend more time at work than they do with their, at home. So, we moved down here, I work with my three brothers every single day, and we each do something different, but it works for us. And that's really part of my success formula, is that I have my three brothers that have my back, I have theirs. So when there's a situation that comes up, we all can get together and brainstorm and figure out how to fix it.
So talk me through that, because there's maxims that people say about business: don't go into business with your family. People say, don't have a partner. It's inevitable that you guys will break up. And you've kind of busted the myths on both. You're in business with family, and you're partners, right? And so, can you talk about, as someone might be thinking about opening their own business and thinking about doing it with a family member, or thinking about just in a partner in general, what's some of your advice you would give them from your experience?
So my brother Joe is my partner, but my other two brothers are employees.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that, there may be times where they don't feel the love as much, but, we take good care of them.
Yeah.
And we believe that we are all partners together. Being in a family business is tough. My mom and dad both worked for me.
Yeah.
They since have both passed away, but in the 80s and 90s and even up to the 2000s, they both worked for me. And I once wrote an article for Family Business Magazine about, I had to fire my mother. I swear to God, yeah, it's gospel.
I can't imagine that experience.
And, got to a point, we needed someone at another level.
Yeah.
And we were a mom and pop company, and my mom was our bookkeeper.
Yeah.
And we needed to, if you're gonna stay in business, you gotta be professional. And got to the point where, we actually paid my mom to stay home.
Yeah.
And my dad was always great. He just did whatever we asked him. He was our gopher. Go for this, go for that. He would really run our permit department and get all our permits at the time. So when he walked into a building department, everybody knew him. They didn't even know. They thought it was his company. He was great working for us. My mom was a different story. It was a little challenging. And like I said, we had to do the right thing. And it was tough, to tell your mom, listen, you can't come in anymore. We just can't have this. It's became contentious even with the employees, because again, you're growing and you have to make tough decisions. You have to be really careful. We are successful because of my family and the way that we run it. We had good teachers, our parents. Our parents, my father was a hairdresser.
Yeah.
So, it's not like he was had this great big business to run, but I watched him growing up, how he treated people.
Yeah.
And he treated the ladies that he did their hair, and I worked for him sweeping floors and taking curlers out of hair. And I'll never forget, my dad treated every person as special.
Yeah.
And that's why he was successful, and everyone loved him.
Yeah.
So again, it instilled something great in us to become great leaders, and my brother and I, we give back a lot to the community. We constantly try to coach people, whether you're a competitor or not.
Yeah.
You're welcome in my showroom.
Yeah.
We feel that have good competition is great.
Yeah.
That's something that people, they worry. Oh, well, they can't learn my secret, or they can't come in. They're spying on me. There's enough business for everybody.
Well, it's also people won't execute as well, right? So they can learn your whole business model, but to do it day in and out, just like you're saying with talking with your director of first impressions, or going and thinking about just that experience with a client all the time, they might be able to learn one script, but to get everybody doing it on a regular basis, and then to have the mentality that you're talking about right now that clearly was instilled by your father that you saw in the beginning,
Right.
that whether they're employee or whether they're a customer, you're always putting them first and thinking about that experience. I think it's a great point. Talk me through, as you started the business and been around for a while now, you have any favorite failures? Something you go back and look at going, you know what, this was rough and here's what I learned from it? Or
Absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah, there's no doubt. So, you know, we all have to realize when we make a mistake, and we make a lot of mistakes still to this day, but we have to correct them at all costs. I tell people that, you know, we may be in the middle of your project and we do something wrong, and if you don't like it, we'll redo it at our cost.
Yeah.
We'll spend $1,000 to collect the last 500 because we know our reputation is at stake. So back probably maybe 10, 15 years ago, we did a project in Miami. It was a little far for us, not familiar with those building departments, and it was a challenging job. It was a bathroom remodel, a pretty good size one too, probably in the $50,000 range. We lost money on the job. And in between, once we finished the job, one of our industry magazines came to me and we wrote an article together about the anatomy of an unprofitable job. And this was a job that we might have sold for $50,000 but might have cost me $60,000.
Yeah.
Several years later, the customer came in. It was a doctor from Miami, and they came for us for their kitchen. And the thing is that they never knew how bad we messed up, because every time we messed up, we fixed it. And we did it without them really realizing that the hiccups that we ran into. And it was unfamiliar. The team that worked with us in Miami, they weren't my everyday team. The electrician that we hired down there was not a good partner. The plumber was not a good partner.
Yeah.
So they messed up and we paid to do it twice. But our commitment is that at all costs, we're gonna make it right. And
Well, clearly it worked. You got a repeat business out of it. It came
yeah.
back
So
into
and
the
it's
kitchen
funny because
afterwards.
when they came into the showroom, I told them the story, and I went in the back and pulled the magazine.
Yeah.
They couldn't believe that I wrote this article about their project, and they said, we had no idea that it was such a disaster. It's, because ultimately it came out beautiful.
Right.
'Cause that's our commitment, and to this day, if I walk into a job and I see something that I don't like, I'll make my team do it over.
Oh, that's a great story.
Yeah.
And a lot of learnings there too, because to last in business as long as you have, clearly it can't just be all about making a profit on every single deal. And what's clear from this conversation is it's on making sure that you're satisfying the client and the customer. So talk to me in the beginning as you started building a business. Where did you get advice from? Who influenced you? What resources did you use to be able to really help you navigate the idea of running an actual enterprise?
Yeah, kind of just trial and error, I gotta be honest with you. We just, I had my brothers to always bounce ideas off of, but, I started with my brother Joe in business at a very young age. I was probably 15 years old. After high school, went to college just for a couple of years up in Bucks County, not too far from where you're from. But during that time, at 14 and 15 years old, I was working in my dad's beauty shop, watching the transactions that he was making for $5 haircuts, but how important it was to him. And then from working in his store, my brother Joe and I started a window cleaning business called J&B Window Cleaning.
Yeah.
And we were getting our first customers from his clients in the beauty shop. They hired us first. And until I moved to Florida in 1979, we had built an unbelievable business that's still going to this day called J&B Windows.
Yep.
We sold it to one of our friends up in Philadelphia when Joe moved down here he came in like 81, I believe. And we sold it to our friend Mitch, who we both knew, and the business is still going. But, we learned at an early age that, we're crunching numbers and doing what it takes to be successful. And here I was, I'll never forget it, our weekends down the Jersey Shore, I was, taking my girlfriend to expensive dinners when I'm, 16, 17 years old, when, adults weren't doing that.
Right.
But I had money because I was working hard and truly, our parents taught us a lot about value and a lot about, honesty. And so I think just the experience of just, not being afraid to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And that's it too, you have to be willing to make mistakes and do things that push you beyond the limit to be successful. And sometimes...
What's a mistake you made that didn't work out? You guys made a bet in a business opportunity or something like that maybe didn't happen like you expected to.
I gotta say that I'm pretty fortunate that I don't have any really disastrous things that have happened. Yeah, we've had jobs that have gone south and might have cost us more money, but I think ultimately we've made some great decisions. The property that we bought, where our showroom is to this day, we bought a little house on Oakland Park Blvd. It was a duplex. We bought the one next to it, and then a year later we bought the third one. And back in 2008, right before the recession hit us, I knocked down my 3 little buildings and was building a new showroom.
Oh, great time.
So yeah, it was great timing. I thought for sure I thought for sure I was going to be out of business, because here we are, the recession, no one's doing anything, and we're building a 15,000 square foot showroom.
Yeah.
And the economy is just disastrous. But what we found out, that during the toughest of times, people looked at us and go, wow, how is this company even doing this in this economy?
Yeah.
So when there were still people who were flush with cash that realized I'm staying in my home,
Yeah.
they weren't investing in the market, they were investing in their home. And we were really one of the very few companies still standing in the kitchen and bath industry here in South Florida. Most of my competitors went out of business.
Yeah.
So we actually grew during that recession. 9, 10, 11, and 12, we had a 15 to 20% growth year over year.
What do you think made that difference?
I think the building that we did had a huge, our reputation, no doubt about it, but having the building as a showroom. And I remember back in the early 80s, we worked out of a very small little showroom, not even a showroom, an office when I first started in business, but sitting in a seminar, I remember the speaker saying that if you're going to remain in business, you need to have a showroom. You can't just work as a sales team out of an office. A showroom, people want to come, touch, and see it. And that's when my brother Joe and I looked at each other, and the minute we got back into Fort Lauderdale, when we landed, we literally started driving around looking for a building. And we saw this house on Oakland Park Blvd. We knew the traffic.
Yeah.
We were originally looking in the downtown area,
Yeah.
because there was a lot of small houses in the downtown area
Yeah.
that we could turn into a showroom. But we said, hey, this is a lot of traffic on this street. There's probably 100,000 cars a day that go by. And
what's interesting about that was, people are always trying to figure out where the ideas come from, and they usually evolve off of somebody else's idea, right? And then you just make it work. But what I think is good for people that are listening is, as you start businesses, it's not just you going to seminars, trade shows that are in your industry to kind of learn what some of the best people are doing. That's where you can get the ideas from.
Absolutely.
And so somebody they'll say a bunch of ideas that whole day, but one thing will just hit you going, that's perfect for my market and perfect for my fit.
we have learned, my brother Joe and I, it's tough to leave a business sometimes for 4 or 5 days and go to a conference.
Yep.
We always say that if we bring back one thing that can change what we do better, it's worth it.
Yeah.
And every conference that we go to, we always come back with something good that we use that gets us to another level, makes us better at what we do.
Yeah.
And you have to make that investment. People, sometimes you don't have a lot of money, you don't want to spend a lot of money to go travel somewhere but my recommendation is, if you're in business, you gotta get involved with, whether it be chambers of commerces, other business like yours, associations that are similar, because that's where you really learn and share ideas.
Yep.
And that's where we got all our ideas. And I always say, I'm not going to invent the wheel. It's already done. I'm just going to follow what's successful.
Yep.
So the things I'm doing, it's someone else taught me that.
Yep.
So when someone asks me how to do something, I'm sharing my ideas. I didn't invent this idea.
Yep.
I got it from someone. Even something as simple as how my contract is written.
Yep.
At a conference, someone shared their contract with us that was better than ours,
Yep.
to make it clear. And I always say, in our industry, we want to tell people not just what we're doing for them, but also what we're not doing for them. So
Yep.
there's a clear expectation, and there's no misunderstanding of what we're doing or what we're not doing. And when you write a contract, we learned that it has to be clearer than clear. And everyone has to understand it. You'll never have a problem if you are honest and open and upfront, and let people know what to expect. And in that way, you set your expectations, everyone understands it. You get in trouble when people think, oh, I thought you said that. No, our contract consists of a written contract as well as drawings, so people can see it visually. So that way, and then we have a specification sheet. So we're literally very, very systematic in what we do, so that we try to avoid mistakes.
Yep.
That's really what it's about, is less mistakes become a more profitable project and a happier customer.
Yep. Yeah, I think you're 100% right. You started talking about being involved in the community. I know that You are, and I'm going to probably screw up the title, but this year being chair or committee head of the Chamber of Commerce for Fort Lauderdale. You've been involved and sat on many boards from nonprofits, from Habitat Humanity to a number of others. Can you talk about your thought process? I know one of the mottos that you also have was pay it forward. Talk about how, as a business owner, you've decided that being involved in the business community and just giving back is an important piece of you being here.
Yeah, so part of our success formula is paying it forward. And again, it started with my parents. The more we give, the more we get. That's what we believe. And getting involved in the community, for me, it's the greatest thing in the world because I feel a lot of value when I'm helping people. But as you said, I'm incoming chair of the board for the Greater Fort Lauderdale Chamber of Commerce. That takes place in January coming up. And it's a great organization.
Talk about the chamber, because a lot of people say, they go to chamber events, nothing happens from them. They do a networking event, they meet a couple people, they grab some business cards, and then
because people expect the chamber to do something for them, and you can't go into it looking like that. It's like maybe you need to look at it like, well, what can I do for the chamber? And when you start changing your thought process of how you approach other people, other businesses, business opportunities, and you get involved, things happen. And again, the more I give, the more I get in return. And that's so true.
Well, it's an interesting concept. So there's a book called The Little Black Book of Networking by Jeffrey Gitmer. And it talks in that book heavily going, in networking, it's not about you connecting, meeting people. It's about thinking about how you can help others. And if you're constantly worried about help others, it'll come back to you in some sense, but you got to do it without the idea that it's going to. And I think you're giving a great example, especially because I'm one of my businesses is a sales type business, and people are out in the community, and people always knock the chamber as an event to be able to be worthwhile going to. And I think they're sitting there thinking, just by meeting somebody should do business with me.
It's how I grew my business, by being involved in these organizations like the chamber, like charities. I love being able to give back and help people, but there is a return on my investment. It helps me. And I can't tell you how many projects right now that I'm in the middle of for people that I've met through the chamber and the community. It's taken me 10 years. It didn't happen. People didn't, listen, I've been involved with the Fort Lauderdale Chamber for over 10 years. I used to be with the Oakland Park Blvd Chamber. We merged with the Fort Lauderdale Chamber 10, 12 years ago. And it's taken me this long to number one, grow in the chamber, meet a lot of people, but I'm probably in the middle of 6 projects right now through my company that I've met through people involved in the chamber.
Does it take long? In my perspective, I think that people want to know you're authentic, and people want to know that you're there for the right reasons, and not that they're to get business. Like you actually care about the community.
Absolutely.
Is that the part that you think it's taken you that 10 years to be able to go through, is what I'm saying? Do you think it's accurate, or do you think it's just a matter of,
it just depends how much you want to get involved and how much you're willing to put out there. But people want to do business with people that they trust and they like.
Yep.
And again, there's a lot of great kitchen and bath remodeling companies out there, a lot of great contractors. But people come to me and they tell me, we're hiring your company because we see what you do in the community.
Yep.
And that's great to hear that. They literally come up to me, and I may never meet them until their job starts because they come in and meet another designer or a salesperson, but I try to meet everybody that we do business with. Every client starts in our showroom. And people tell me quite often, hey, your people are great that work for you, but I got to tell you that the reason that we came to you was because of everything you do in the community. And we host a lot of events in our showroom for a lot of nonprofits. We love doing that. We bring people to us in our showroom, and that's another way for us to give back. But
gives a free place for the nonprofits. They don't have to charge for a place, the venue to be able to rent out. That's a great idea.
There's nights that charities come in. They may in 2 hours they may raise $2,000–3,000. We've had it for events where charities have literally raised $20,000 and $30,000 in just a couple hours. In our showroom. And
do you think there's a responsibility as a local business owner that you should have to give back to the community?
Absolutely.
I mean, you think it's part of what we have to do?
Listen, our culture has to change, our society has to change, and we all need to start being able to do what we can do to help others.
Yep.
I believe it should be an automatic. People that are in business, that are successful, should give back to the community.
Yeah.
You know, it's not always about the wealthy people writing the check, and it's not about money. Because I have never just written a check to a charity.
Yeah.
And I've always said, I'll get involved and help you in the other ways that I can.
Yeah.
Whether it be working at an event, volunteering my time, my talent. It's not, you don't have to, giving back to a charity does not mean writing a check.
Yeah.
You know, it's great, they need money,
Yeah.
but sometimes they need more people, they need ideas,
Yeah.
they need people with ideas.
Yeah.
And that's what I said I've always got, is I'm a great idea person. I have great ideas, and I use my team and the people around me to implement the ideas that I come up with. I'm not, you know, the greatest or the smartest person in the world,
Yeah.
but together with the team, together everyone achieves more.
Yeah.
And that's, as a team, you can accomplish 10 times the amount with your team than you can yourself. And people that are in business and think that they're gonna run it their way and everything's their way, the hardest thing for me is getting criticism. But it's also the best thing for me, because that's how I learn. And it happened yesterday, I'm in a staff meeting, there's 40 of us there, and they go, Bill, that's not the way to talk to people. You know, you're raising your voice and your people feel threatened with that. And I hated hearing that.
Yeah.
But, you know, I gotta look at it and go, you know, I talk, I'm very,
Passionate.
yeah, passionate about what I'm doing, and I'm just trying to coach people. But some people take it a little threatening, like, oh, you're screaming at me. And I'm surely not screaming at them, but they told me, you're coming off like you're.
I can feel it. This is
Yeah.
how we talk.
Yeah, it is. But so,
Just having a conversation.
yeah, but you know, so sometimes I have to be put in my place, and that's the great thing about having my brothers as partners with me, is that we work off of each other. You know, good guy, bad guy. Sometimes a customer and I are not jiving. I'll say, Joe, you need to take over. This customer's just
Well,
not.
I think you brought up a good point, and what I've seen as a trend with most successful people is their ability to take feedback, and this constant idea of self-improvement, right? The only person you can really improve is yourself. You can't improve the people around you.
Never.
You can help develop them, but if you keep getting better, somehow everybody around you keeps getting better.
Yeah.
And I think from a feedback perspective, people react something. I say 4 ways people can give feedback or take feedback. They either lash back out at you and start yelling back at you. They sit there completely silent and don't say a word. They get very defensive and make up excuses, or they look at feedback as a gift. And they say, you know what, the fact that somebody's taking the time to have an uncomfortable conversation with me means they care enough for me to get better. And even if there's 20 or 30% of what they're saying is accurate, there's still a place for me to learn from what they're saying. And I think you just gave a great example for yourself. Personally, even after 35 years in business and doing well, going, you know what, there's a part of me that has to be able to change a little bit if I'm going to continue to evolve the people underneath me. So that's a great
We
example.
all have to be willing to learn and take criticism. Otherwise, otherwise, you know, people are going to look at us and go, you know, screw you. You always think you're right. You know, people don't want to deal with that. People want to deal with people that care.
So talk me through that as you're thinking about employees, and we're in a low unemployment rate.
The lowest in our history of Florida.
Right. And you've kept employees for a long time, but you're constantly growing and looking for new people. And right now, it's a tough job market. Along with that, you're not in a super sexy industry, right? People don't think right off the bat, I want to get in the kitchen and bath. How do you attract younger talent or talent that might be switching careers to be able to join yours? Can you talk a little bit about that now?
So it's not just my industry, it's the mindset of our society where we need to change the way people think. And, you know, we don't teach in school anymore technical trades. You know, when we were in high school.
Yeah, but no technical,
right,
you do
so,
the choice
right,
where
whether
you're
it be
gonna spend your
cooking
afternoons.
classes, carpentry,
Yeah.
plumbing, electric. And people think that you know, that every parent wants their kid to go to college and become a doctor or a lawyer.
Right.
And what they don't understand, and it's funny because last year we had the ambassador.
A lot of the contractors I know make a lot more money than
Well, that's
doctors and
it.
lawyers.
So, you know, in Germany, the people that learn a trade, they're so respected. And what I tell people is I have plumbers and electricians that live in big houses in Coral Springs and Parkland, drive Mercedes-Benzes and make a lot more money than many doctors do.
Yeah.
They're running a
Sure.
business, and that's the opportunity. So people shouldn't look at it, but it all starts in the way that we have to get, change the way that the people think in our school system. And it's something that we need because we're going to run out of people to run and do the work that we need done here.
Yep.
So it is, we have to really change it, talking to young people, getting them to get involved in the industry, it's something that we really need to work on. We need to do a better job at that, to realize that, you don't have to go to college and be a techie, or become a doctor or a lawyer to be successful. You have to love what you do. That's the one thing that I say to anybody is, if you don't love what you do, then you're gonna fail and you're gonna have a miserable life. But if you do whatever you do it with passion, you will be successful. You'll go home at the end of the day going, wow, look what I accomplished. I feel good about what I do. And it's the same thing with working for a company. If you come into a company and you're not happy and you're going, you're just there to put in your 9 hours and then go home at the end of the day, then you're not doing yourself justice. You're not doing me any justice by working for my company.
Yeah.
And I tell people, I'll help you find another job if you're not happy.
Yeah.
But don't be here just for a job, because it's not worth it to sit here and not be happy. You have to go home and love the company you work for, and your life will change if you do that. And I think we've done a good job of that at my company, is to employ people that love what they do.
Yeah.
And they enjoy coming to work. We try to do things that to give back to my employees and give them opportunities to excel and better themselves, make more money, involve their family.
You remind me of something. I joke with people that you can't quit and stay. You can't quit in your mind and then just keep coming to work and not going to pay. If you're not happy here, you got to be able to do something else.
Absolutely.
And I love how you're consistently thinking of your employees on how to make them better, because I found that people will stay in a company if they feel like they're being compensated appropriately, they feel like they're growing and developing, and then they feel like they're having fun and they actually enjoy the people around them. And if you have 2 out of 3, people will often stay, right? If they feel like they're growing and developing, they enjoy the people around them, the compensation doesn't have to be the best. They'll accept it because they actually enjoy being there.
Yeah.
Can you
I want to say one thing.
Yeah,
you
go
have to, thanking the people around us is one of the most important things that we need to remember.
Yeah.
Is we don't thank people enough, and people just want to be thanked. They want to feel appreciated.
Yeah.
And so in business, whether it be your family, your business people, you got to constantly keep remembering, thank people. Just, someone that helps you bag something at Publix, someone that does something, bends down and picks something that you dropped. Thank people. We don't do that enough, and it means so much.
Yep, yeah, I agree with you. I'm always happy when somebody, you let somebody buy and they wave and say thank you in the car. I'm like, oh, they actually remember to say thank you. There's not a lot of people that do it as much. And I think that if we think about what, as individuals, you start thinking about appreciation of what you have, right? You literally have dopamine that comes out of you when you're showing appreciation and gratitude to the people around you. So chemically, it actually makes you better and happier by thanking people and being appreciative of what else they do. So there is a self-benefit to you thanking other people also.
Yeah.
So in your business, and then I got just 2 more questions for you. Any bad advice you hear of people trying to get into your business? Any myths that you think are worth debunking, as people might be scared to either start a business in your industry or get involved?
Too often people buy on price alone. And the saying goes, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah.
And that's where we see people probably 2-3 times a week get in trouble. They hire people that aren't licensed because it was a cheaper price. They hired them because they didn't want to pull permits because they thought they could do it quicker. These are the people that get in trouble. And I just say to people, again, you can't be in business and not charge enough money to cover your expenses and your overhead, and treat your people with respect and give them the benefits that they deserve. And we will never sacrifice. We'd rather not do a job than have to cut corners.
Yep.
So whether it be the products that we buy, we make sure that every partner of ours, and we have literally hundreds, if not 1,000 different partners that we buy from, because we have a retail store where we sell plumbing and hardware and lighting and everything else. And so we buy from a lot of companies, but we only buy from companies that stand behind their product.
Yep.
Because I know that if something goes wrong, the people are calling me. If I can't go back to the manufacturer and they stand behind the product I'm selling, I can't sell their product.
Right.
So that happens to us, and has happened in the past, where we've had to tell some of our best partners that weren't willing to stand behind their product, we can't work with you.
What's been the most memorable day of your career?
I just had a real big one. 2-3 weeks ago, I was honored by Habitat for Humanity for the giving back that I've done. I've been very lucky in business to be able to give back. And to me, being recognized for some of these accolades and getting these accolades from organizations like Habitat, Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. I've won the Excalibur Award from the Sun Sentinel. Some of the highest honors. It's huge.
Yeah.
You know, again, and this is because of my involvement in the community. So I know that my business has given me that opportunity to get in front of people and give back.
Yeah.
So I'm just so proud that I can represent my company. I'm lucky that I have support. My team allows me. They run my company while I'm out there, representing. Like today at 4 o'clock, I've got to be at the chamber to, again. So my business is running without me there, but it allows me. My people have my back, allow me to get involved in outside organizations because it does take up a lot of time. But for me, at this point in my life, it's the most valuable thing is being able to represent my company, Allied Kitchen and Bath, and out there in the community where I can stand up there sometime in front of hundreds or thousands of people and talk about giving back. And for me, my company has built that roadway for me to get there. Has built the stepping stones to be able to represent my company and business and in the community. And I'm just really fortunate. The chamber allowed me to go as their representative back in June this year. I went to Israel with the mayor, Dean Trentalis. City manager went. Here I am. It's I'm a small business owner. That's it. And yet I'm traveling with the higher ups in the city that are trying to figure out how to make this city a better place. And I'm thinking, as a citizen and a business owner, I want to be able to leave something. I want to be able to leave something behind when I'm gone that is meaningful and impactful to others. And teaching your children. There's nothing better than teaching your children. My kids see what I do, and they thank me for it. They say, Dad, you teach us so much. The things you do, it allows us to really learn, and that's the greatest gift in the world.
Yeah. I was driving my 6-year-old to school today, and somehow we were having a conversation. I told her how I used to have a boss, and she was so confused. She goes, "You didn't always have a company?" I'm like, "No, there was just a time where I was working through it," and then I started to realize that those little things she's influenced. Like she's used to me running a company. She's always with the people from work, the companies that I have, and that. So yeah, huge impact on them. But as a citizen, I want to thank you for all the work you've done for the community, how much you give back as a company and yourself individually. We appreciate it, and I appreciate taking the time. Can you just when I'll put the notes here where to find you, but how can people find you? Where's the address and website and how they can actually look you up?
Our flagship showroom is right on Oakland Park Boulevard, just 4 blocks east of 95. 616 West Oakland Park. My website is alliedkitchenandbath.com, and you can reach me anytime at my office or my email, bill@alliedkb.com. And I tell people, just come to us for advice. You don't just come on in. We give free advice, and people realize that to avoid making mistakes, we have to teach people. And that's the first step of taking on any remodeling project, is understand what you're getting into. And we always say we're going to give good, honest advice. Whether you use us or not, we're going to give you the tools that you need to know how to get started. So, come on in, visit us. We have a great showroom. It's truly, 15,000 feet of just a lot of candy that, I call jewelry for the home. Beautiful kitchens and bathrooms, and it's a great place to come and see and get inspired.
Awesome. Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Happy to have you, dude.
Thanks.
That was awesome.
Thank you for watching the Uprenuer podcast, and don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe, and share this with anybody who you think needs to hear it.